what to do. Could somebody come and take me away? I've been in the deep without you, and I got it in my head night and day. But we are one step closer. We're all in this together. Put your hand in mine. Yeah, we are one step closer. Can you feel it, baby? It's the end of the line. It looks like we made it. Let's get it on. We got it going, moving on the world. It looks like we made it. Let's get it on. We got it going, stay strong. It looks like we.
Hello, welcome everybody to the Rare Disease Panel for Community Heroes 2022. If this is your first time, joining our panel, welcome. We had a great one last year, and this year I'm super excited to have the panelists that we have today. Before we get started, I just want to lay down some house rules for those that are joining. Whenever we get the opportunity to speak, please make sure that you speak loud. And that's pretty much the basic house rules that we have here. And my name, I'm the host today, so I'm Charles Starkey, CEO and founder of Community Heroes. Please check out our website, www.communityheroes.net, so you can get to learn a lot more about our mission, our background story, and some of the things that we are doing here. So you can learn a lot more about our mission. We have a specific so I want to say that we are actually so you can learn a lot more about our mission tonight. We have a specific so I want to say that we are actually so you can learn a lot more about our mission tonight. We have a specific so I want to say that we are actually so you can learn a lot more about our mission tonight.
We had a slight little challenge here with our sound, and hold on 1 second. Hold on, everybody. We appreciate everybody's patience right now. Just had a second challenge with some audio sounds. You can share with us again. Tara, can you hear me? You can share with us again.
I need just a little bit.
Okay. I can hear you. I can change that, but I couldn't hear you for a minute. So all this off if you guys can't hear me right. Can you hear me? Because we need to get going on this event. So I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Maybe put something in the chat. I might just take all of this off if you guys can't hear me right. Can you hear me? So I can hear you guys. We need to get going on this event. So cannot. Okay, can you hear me or not? Yes, no? If
Still kind of low.
still kind of low? Okay.
I don't know if it.
I can make it louder. I just didn't want it to be cognizant there of people's mental.
Still kind of low. I don't know if it.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
It's a little bit better.
It's not. You can't hear. Let me make this louder. How about now?
Okay, that was better. It was better on my end. It's a little bit better.
Okay. So hopefully this will work then. If not, I will take out my sound system just.
Okay, that was better. It was better on my end.
Okay. Because I want to make sure we have our sound working really well.
It's a little bit better.
Let me see if I can. Is that any better?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Deborah, you're still really faint, and then anytime Tyrone speaks, it goes on loop. Like I hear it and repeat.
Me too.
That too. So how does that sound now?
Very, very faint.
Okay. What about now?
Like I hear it. Now you're good.
Great.
Me too.
But you have like an echo.
Yeah.
It goes on. Now you're good. Like I hear it and
Great.
repeat.
And how does that sound?
But
Me
you
too.
have like an echo.
Not working? It's working before. And if I change it to that, how does that sound?
Still, that I
It's
can hear you, but
better.
that's where it's faint.
Is that better? So I know why we're getting echo.
It was better than what it was.
Yeah, this is weird. Everything with my sounds were all working before. We thank everybody who's patiently waiting for us to start talking about Rare Disease Week. Or actually Rare Disease Day. But hopefully this is a little bit better now.
It was
If I
better than what it
unmute my
was.
things here.
Still, that I
It's
can hear you, but
better.
that's where
How does that now? Is that better?
It was better than what it was.
No, I'm looking for good. So if you can hear me, give a thumbs up. If you can't, then I will just take out this microphone altogether. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
It could be the mic. I don't know. One of the Bluetooth connection.
No, I have a really good mic system, but I'm trying, my bass broke, my hub broke, and I'm trying to use my husband's little side thing here, and it's not working as well as I
It
would
could be the
like
mic.
it.
I don't know. One of the Bluetooth connection.
So if that's not any better, I'll just take off my microphone altogether. No good?
it's very faint. But for I don't know, Deborah, if it's and then there's like a 45-second lag and it repeats.
Right.
It's very faint, but
Tyrone?
Okay. Yeah.
Would-
So, no, welcome again, everybody. We thank you to Community Heroes Rare Disease Panel 2022, and as you know, with nothing, there's always a chance that something may happen. So I think we seen it tonight. But anyway, uh, Community Heroes, we take this time on February 28th to observe rare disease. And last year, we had our first webinar. So I'm very much excited to hold the second one and have the panelists that we have here. Hopefully, you'll be informed and we'll raise awareness. Got the two motives that why we put this on every year. I am your host tonight, Tyrone Starkey, CEO and founder of Community Heroes. And like I said, tonight we have some excellent panelists. So I'm not going to talk long. Just last little bit of information. If you're attending or viewing right now, make sure you respect our panelists and the ones that are viewing. Speak clearly when you have the opportunity. Use appropriate language. And also, when you get the opportunity, check out our website, www.communityheroes.net. Please leave feedback, anything that you think we can do to help raise awareness with special needs population. So, like I said, without further ado, I'm going to let our first panelist of tonight speak, Ms. Deborah Vick.
I'm not Lee Starkey. I don't know why I'm showing up as her.
Can you all hear me?
Hey, Deborah, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Because I just changed my microphone.
You're good now. But also, one of the guests was put into Leah's spot.
Yeah, she came onto the...
Surprise!
Yes, so this actually is for the speakers. For the guests, we're on Zoom, so that's why you were in Leah's spot, because Leah's one of the speakers. So I will put you back in the green room. And then if you guys can message me, because this is a slow delay here. Okay, with that, I am going to go back and for a second and go to the next page where I'm worried where we lost Leah. So, Tyra, did you want to introduce me, or since you are on the screen? I cannot hear you. Hold on a second. I am having so many new challenges that arose, and I can't hear you first, and I know it's on my end. I think it's on my end. Tyrone, oh, you are muted. That's why I can't hear you. You need to unmute.
Yeah.
Now I can hear you.
So again, I was saying, of course, I introduced you, Deborah. Again, this is Ms. Deborah Vick, and like I said before, I said I'm very honored that you are joining us tonight. And I was going to list off your accolades, but they're too many, so I don't want to mess up any. So I said I'll leave that to you on as you're talking.
Thank you so very much, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak. And as we start speaking, there's a new update. So they were just updating an installation for audio, but we're going to do the best we can, and we appreciate all of those that are patiently waiting and listening in. First, I would like to say hello and welcome to Rare Disease Day. For those that don't know, on the last day of February, we celebrate Rare Disease Day in the United States, just so do many other countries. And for those that are wondering what this crown and this sash is about, it is, and let me just take a moment and explain to you. It is one of the roles that I'm doing this year as Miss Wheelchair California, USA. It is a program designed to a pageant that is based on both typical pageantry activities as well as advocacy. So one of my major platforms is advocating for creating empowering communities. And that's empowering communities for people of all abilities, ages, national or nationalities, and any type of gender identification. Because for me, I want all people to feel welcome. I want all people to feel that we are beautiful, that we are capable, and that we all have the right to speak, to advocate for our needs, and to be part of society. Which leads me a little bit into some of my other programs that I'm doing. Besides this year serving as Miss Wheelchair California, USA, I'm also a founder of a new nonprofit, formerly known as Raribility. It is now name changed to Victorious. And our program is really designed to help uplift, empower, and engage people throughout the communities with special emphasis on the disability community and families and caregivers, as well as creating and implementing programs to help businesses learn how to create more inclusive and diverse communities, creating a space at the table for people of all abilities. In addition to also raising awareness and discussion on equity in medical care. And equity doesn't just mean racial and ethnic background, it's socioeconomic, it's geographical, it's gender or gender orientation, it's all put together of creating that diverse space. For me, the Rare Disease Week is very personal. I happen to have multiple rare diseases, including myasthenia gravis, Ehlers-Danlos, and many comorbidities such as POTS, mast cell activation disorder, and also many of my internal organs are also impacted. To give you a quick definition, myasthenia gravis is a autoimmune disease. It is a rare autoimmune disease in which the body attacks receptors from the brain to the muscles. It also means grave muscular weakness. So I do have significant challenges moving around, lifting, moving things, doing daily chores or activities I mostly cannot do. I am dependent on many people that come from the Orphan Drug Act, or like I'm about to get in a little bit, my infusion therapy, which is plasma-based therapy. So all of those that donate plasma, thank you very much, because I am functioning because of plasma-based therapies. And then just to give a little quick summary, timer, I wasn't sure how much you wanted me to go in right now about the impact of these different diseases. Or if you'd like for others to be introduced first. I forgot to ask you that.
I think if you want to go ahead and like cover your material, and then once you're done, we can then move on to like the next person. So just for the time purposes, then we might have to worry about kind of going back and forth. I think that would probably be the best.
I need to get my blood pressure taken.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, in that case, I can introduce Jessica then.
okay.
Okay. Well, Jessica, look like your card has been pulled. Again, Jessica Beelan got right on the spot and was like, I would love to help out. And like I said, I just thank God for giving me the opportunity to come across a wonderful individual. So I don't want to steal her thunder. So I'm going to let Jessica kind of introduce herself. She's been very patient tonight. So.
No, perfect. Thank you, Tyrone, and thank you, Community Heroes, for having me. My name is Jessica Beelan. I am one of the managers of Family and Community Support with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So I wanted to take some time this evening to share a presentation to give a little bit of information about who the Muscular Dystrophy Association is, the programs and supports that we provide, and how we can be of benefit to the neuromuscular community. So I'm going to share my screen. Deborah, I hope you're okay with me sharing my screen now.
Wait 5 minutes and it's on the other arm, okay?
Just a second. Get this in a...
Perfect. Thank you so much. As a brief introduction to both myself and organization, as I mentioned, my name is Jessica Beelan. I'm the manager of Family and Community Support with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. The MDA is an umbrella agency which supports numerous neuromuscular diagnoses. It's a voluntary health organization which empowers the lives of those impacted by neuromuscular disease through the means of providing and executing an array of programs and services. Excuse me. Here at MDA, we're dedicated to empowering people living with neuromuscular diagnoses to achieve their potential. To accomplish this mission, MDA collaborates with community and healthcare partners and institutes to advance care, accelerate research and advocacy, and unite the community. To break down a few content areas by metrics, some people love numbers, some people could care less about numbers. I wanted to take a second to just share this slide to show the audience that MDA is dedicated to supporting the neuromuscular disease community through science and research, care and community, and recreation and education. These three concepts here break down each of those areas into where we provide grant funding, where our funding dollars go, and then how we put that back into the community. So let's talk about your journey with the Muscular Dystrophy Association. The client and family journey is very important to the MDA. To dive deeper into what that journey looks like, we'll explore diagnosis and registration, access to care, and programs and services. As many within the neuromuscular community know, there's a high emphasis and importance on newborn screening. Newborn screening can identify a variety of conditions that can affect a child's long-term health or survival. Through the means of newborn screening, families are supported through the means of early detection, diagnosis, and intervention. Without the implementation of newborn screening, many children will receive a diagnosis after their symptoms appear, initiating what we call that diagnostic odyssey. Newborn screening eliminates that odyssey. Currently, through newborn screening, Pompe's disease and spinal muscular atrophy are the neuromuscular diagnoses that are included on the national list of recommended diseases for screening. Where MDA plays a role in newborn screening is that we continue to fight and support the need for acceptance and implementation of newborn screening by leading the charge in funding research, engaging in public policy and advocacy efforts, and collaborating with stakeholders in the neuromuscular community. Additionally, MDA's national network of care centers exists to provide care to infants from day one as they are identified through the screening process and serve as test sites for continued clinical trial development and research. Advanced care. So following one's diagnosis, we look at advanced care, which will then break down MDA's care centers and then individual access to care. This is one of our very favorite slides to share. This is a heat map to show where in the United States our MDA care centers are located. As shown within this slide, these sites denote MDA care centers, MDA and ALS care centers, and MDA care affiliates. You can find care centers closest to you by accessing the link down below, excuse me, or by visiting mda.org. As with many other facets of our lives transitioning to remote services, MDI is currently providing care center visit follow-ups to registered clients being seen within our care network. During these conversations, MDI is happy to support clients in processing and preparing for upcoming visits, provide connection to local and national services, and provide information on relevant MDA programming. One of MDA's, as mentioned, our value missions is to build community through empowering individuals and families. As a means to provide advanced and access to care, MDI has several programs which we use to support the neuromuscular community. MDI's National Resource Center is available to provide one-to-one support via phone or email for individuals and families looking for an overview of disease information in our program resources, activities, and more. The business hours for the National Resource Center are 9 to 5 Central Standard Time, and MDA's National Resource Center is our first line of support for anybody that is calling in to our national, our national hotline. MDI.org does have a landing page. The Resource Center has a landing page, which is listed here. And in that landing page, you can find information on all of these noted topics. One of the programs that has really flourished with the pandemic is our National Connections program. This is the program which is entirely voluntary to those that are registered with MDI, where individuals and caregivers can connect with peers to establish and build relationships. Over the past 2 years since working in a remote workforce, I was able to pull some really touching quotes from people that have engaged in the program and who have had a really good experience. MDA also offers a community education platform. MDI has prepared resources and materials to help educate the neuromuscular disease community about the fundamentals of neuromuscular disease. New resources are always in development, so please check this website below periodically to access information and materials. Our education materials and resources are there to help educate the neuromuscular disease community about, as mentioned, fundamentals of neuromuscular diseases. We also have MDA Access workshops, and those are community education programs created to provide information and resources on overcoming barriers to a variety of topics while being specifically built for the neuromuscular disease community. The great things about these websites and these workshops is that they're all on demand. This will allow individuals to navigate at their own pace through online activities, videos, quizzes, and more. These workshops focus on increasing health literacy, empowerment, and self-advocacy within the community. We also have MDI Access Access surveys, which were developed to better understand some of the common barriers throughout the neuromuscular community, such as access to equipment, access to therapies, education, employment, and financial independence. Over the course of the last year, we've had over 2,800 responses to the surveys, which has provided us with valuable insight into the access barriers that many of this community faces. MDI also offers a summer camp, and this year we're thrilled to announce that we are offering 2 approaches to summer camp. While we're still offering our virtual sessions, MDI is very excited to share that we are now back in person in many locations. MDI Summer Camp, whether your youth visits in person or virtual, is what many campers call an opportunity of lifetime, from both the campers' perspective as well as the families and the counselor's point of view. A little bit about MDA's advocacy network. So as mentioned in previous slides, MDA continues to fight for access to quality, affordable health coverage. Below are a few current initiatives that MDI is charging and a few community call to actions. If you're interested in any of these advocacy initiatives, I encourage you to visit this MDA landing page below. So many are asking how they can get back involved with MDA over the course of the pandemic. Here is a list of opportunities for folks to get involved in opportunities within the community. Many of these events have the advantage of being both in person and virtual. So if there was an opportunity that you were interested in, I encourage you again to visit this landing page here. As a recap, MDA supports the neuromuscular community throughout many means, with accelerate research and advocacy, advanced care, all in a means to unite the community. If you're looking to connect with us, here are a few ways to get in touch. If there were any questions, should time allow, I'm happy to answer questions. Or for any follow-up information, the best way to get in touch with us is to call or email our National Resource Center. That concludes my presentation. Again, I wanted to thank Tyrone as well as Community Heroes for the opportunity and the platform to share a little bit about MDA and the programs and services that we provide.
All right. Thank you so much, Jessica, for all that information. Like I said, MDA has been such a big help since I've started this nonprofit. So, again, thank you. So, Miss Yuko, looks like your card has been pulled now, and you're next up. So, me and you have a little history going way back as a student, and I watch you just, go on and down. You moved, but you still are being a strong advocate. So, and I'm glad we're able to collaborate again and, raise awareness for rare diseases. So anyway, I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'm going to let you speak. So everybody, this is Miss Sydney Yuko.
I want to thank you, Ms. Starkey, for the invite to collaborate with you again. I laughed when I got your invitation because I asked you to collaborate with me back in 2017. I was born with a disease known as spinocerebellar ataxia. Many people don't know about because it's one of the rarest forms of ataxia. There's 6 or 7 different types. I don't really know off the top of my head because I only focus on the spinocerebellar. And there are, I think when I was born, there was 21 different types of SCA you could have. And now, almost 30 years later, there's over 35 types you can have. And I am still type unknown. I've been tested for 3 different types, but they've all come back negative. So, and moving really doesn't help the diagnosing for the type, but that's out of anyone's control with that. So, and to my think there's no cure for anything for it, for any type, and whichever type you have, you get different symptoms. They're similar, but they're different, and which it's weird, but usually the onset not till late 30s, early 40s, and I was one of the rare ones to be born with it. And now I see so many more young people being born with it, and not And I don't know, okay, I'm looking my train of thought here, I apologize. I'm in college and I'm a junior at Kent State University, and I'm trying to be an advocate, sorry, but I cannot work, so trying to raise awareness for such a rare disease is my goal in life, because I've always wanted to be a motivational speaker, but that probably not gonna happen. But as long as I do some kind of advocacy where I can raise awareness, that is okay with me. I know I'm doing my part. And I can't think of anything else to say.
Well, you don't have to say much. You gave us a whole lot of information there. So if you're fine, you don't have to say anything else.
And
You are
just
a
want to say, if you
motivational
want to know more about the different forms of ataxia or the different types, because every different form comes with the different types, look up on, go to nationalataxiafoundation.org and read more about it, because I'm an advocate, so I don't know too much about the fundamentals of the disability. I'm slowly learning more and more every day, but with the pandemic and wanting to raise awareness, I can only do so much.
Yeah, definitely. So before I guess you finish, Sydney, do you want to share with the listeners and the people that are probably, I think this is being recorded, the ones that will see this, your where they can follow you on social media?
I have a Facebook page called Team Sydney. It's like more of a ataxia, like to teach them to learn more about who I am as a person and a little more about the SCA, because I am more than my disability. So I try to incorporate both types of information on my page, but my personal is just my name. You can look it up in Google, Sydney Yoka. My 500 pages will come up, because I've done so much work in the past, and you and me have kind of started something that I like, that to see what you've done with it, and to know that if I didn't ask you to participate, you told me you didn't know about this day, and I enlightened you about it. So I'm just glad you were willing to join me, and you continued the journey to raise awareness not only about muscular dystrophy, but all types of disabilities.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, thank you so much. I thank you for that asking me, 'cause it did propel and stuff. So thank you. So I guess we'll move on to um, the,
I
the,
I can't get
the
my
next
motion.
person.
Hold on.
Um,
So I don't see Leah.
yeah.
So I will take a minute. Right now my blood pressure is still not low enough for me to get my infusion. So this is, by the way, the definition of multitasking, of helping with this and trying to get my infusion. With that, though, I just want to take a moment to say, Sydney, you are a motivational speaker. You are amazing, and I just really wanted to
Thank
highlight
you.
you. Okay, honey.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I do what I can despite my limitations. I do what I can.
Let me just bring you right here on screen next to me for a second, because I want to highlight you for a second. And don't mind the fact that it says Tyrone, because we're just going to put your picture on here. Excuse me, Tyrone. I appreciate you so very much, but I would love to have. Let's see if this works the way it's supposed to. We're going to just assign you Tyrone space right now. There we go. And I wanted to highlight you for a second. And the reason why public speaking is a challenge no matter whatever position you're in life. I think it's listed one of the number one fears is public speaking. But this is at least what I was told when I joined Toastmasters recently. I have to tell you, I used to be a very big public speaker, especially when I was younger. I spoke in large arena, in large rooms, thousands of kids and groups that I was involved with, and even in adults with the National Women's Political Caucus and a whole bunch of other arenas. And I planned for a career in politics, but my body had a different plan in mind for me. And the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is that when I developed myasthenia gravis, it really impairs my ability to speak, even smile. Like, this is as big as I get now of my smile because I just don't have the nerves or the muscles to work the way I want. It's hard.
I have the RBF, so it's very I have to be really happy for my smile to come.
I completely understand that. But I wanted to take a moment to say that you are powerful in your story.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. And I applaud you for speaking because I will tell you before COVID, I had stopped publicly speaking. I don't normally go live on events. I don't normally do that because it's really hard. I'm very self-conscious about it. I spent a lot of time this year in Clubhouse and with voice coaches and such to learn how to speak again, and yet I still struggle quite a bit. So I really, really want you to know, the more you speak, the more I have a friend that I interviewed who has cerebral palsy. The more that people speak with these different disabilities or superpowers, abilities that create disabilities that create our superpowers, is important for people to see. We might speak slower. We might have that squirrel brain that I refer to all the time. It may be hard to get that cognitive verbiage out, but it's important because there are visible and invisible disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And the invisible, those cognitive challenges, that's hard, right? Or I have a lot of chronic pain and weakness. I can't show it just because I use a wheelchair. People don't get it, right? And this is a time that I'm trying to help raise awareness of that. That's part of one of the reasons why I am stepping way beyond my comfort zone and doing this Wheelchair USA competition. I want to raise awareness of all the different kinds of disabilities, right? All the different things, neurological, physical, psychological, all of it together, because it makes us who we are, but our strength also comes from sharing our story and our journey, and I know you've dealt with this your whole life, but I'm so proud of you, and I really wanted to highlight that.
Thank you. And an example when you were talking about the the invisible versus the visible, and I'll probably hear up. But I had a friend, she had congestive heart failure, and she had to have a handicap sticker, and she parked in a handicap spot. And she came back and she had a note on her card saying, "You're not in a wheelchair. What the heck is wrong with you?" And I read her Facebook post rant about that, and I got upset because mental illness is a factor too. Because with my ataxia, I have high anxiety, and it's just people don't know. So I like that teaching people about it. I know people say you shouldn't have people in wheelchair, what's wrong with them? But my disability is so rare that I welcome people to ask so I can enlighten them. And I feel like I'm doing my part as an advocate.
Sorry about that. I was checking to make sure it was still going on. I laughed when he said when people ask what's wrong, because I get that a lot from children when they see with all my braces, my full leg braces and my back brace. I either get, are those robotic? Do those, especially in the Silicon Bay area, there's a lot of robotics, and people keep on thinking they're robotic stuff, especially Maker Faire. But I also get asked frequently, what is wrong with you? And then I say, well, I have a sarcastic response, so I do usually say that I'm a decommissioned cyborg. But it's because I have a lot of hardware inside of me. And then it does break the ice for the parents who are kind of like mortified that their child asked me. But like you, because I have multiple rare diseases and they're not normally seen or interacted with, and also for me and like so many others in the rare disease community, we have a very long diagnostic journey and then even longer journey trying to get the right medications. So it's always for me an opportunity to educate, to share, and to engage with people. So, and especially since I work with kids all the time, I'm just upfront about it. And I do have hardware inside of me. So, I got a lot of hardware inside of me from different surgeries. So saying I'm a decommissioned cyborg is pretty accurate, because I do actually have two machines, including a port and a pain pump, and a whole bunch of hardware holding my spine together. So it works. And yet, I know when I used to walk much more than I do now, I would get those looks when I was getting out of the car to go get my wheelchair in the back of my car. And nowadays, I have learned to speak up more about what I need. And the example being, I was going to clothes shopping, and somebody was trying to take the handicap stall. There was 20 other stalls available. And
I had that problem a lot.
Right. So, and these are little examples of those who are listening. These might not seem like a big deal, but they are part of our everyday life of having to explain what we need, why we need it, and when we need it, and learning to find that voice to say, hey, no. And now I do, but hey, no. I need that stall. My service dog guy and the wheelchair, we need that stall.
I have limited walking, so if the handicap stall is taken, I'll tell whoever I'm with, either my mom or my sister, I'm like, just put me in front of a regular stall and I'll stumble my way into it.
Right.
And you adapt to, like, I think I told Mr. Starkey last night, you adapt to the normal world because the normal world doesn't adapt for the disabled
Right.
ones.
And there, oh, please, Tyrone. And you know, and you're right. Learning to adapt is a big part of surviving and thriving with disabilities. You know, I like to say my disability is my superpower. It has given me the strength and the ability to learn how to pivot and change things, but it's also given me a whole level of empathy that I had not had previously. I
Me too. Me too.
So yeah, even though I go ahead.
I've met people who have just been so nice to like hold doors open for me or be like, do you need like at school like one example, I was going between buildings and it started pouring and one guy held his umbrella over my chair and with one hand and was pushing me to the building I asked him to. And you learn to be, like you said, you learn to be, you
To accept
learn,
No, I was just about
yeah, and some the people you don't think are compassionate are usually the most compassionate, and it's heartwarming to see that they'll give up their selfish needs and help someone in need.
And I think that comes out from your willingness to be open, your willingness to speak. You know, it's taken me many years to learn how to ask for help, and not only ask for help, but be open to somebody when they offer the help, right? And you know, I gave you the example of 2 years ago. I was in DC for Rare Disease Week. Got stuck trying to go up this huge. Well, okay, it may not be huge for walkers, but it is huge for a person in a wheelchair with the wind. And somebody offered to help me, and I was struggling. Normally I would have said no, but because I already struggled, had already been to the hospital, and I really wanted to participate in Rare Disease Week, I took that help. But it's taken me a long time to accept help, and more importantly, even longer to learn how to be open about my challenges so that I can get the help when I need it. You know, and I
If
don't know if Leah's gonna talk. Were you gonna say something, honey?
if you ask anyone in my family, they'll tell you when I was growing up, I was not as vocal as I am now. I was very quiet and I was not very outspoken. Now I've emerged like out the cocoon and I ask, well, sometimes I ask, sometimes I don't. And it'll like frustrate my parents because I don't want to ask them too much. But I need to ask more.
You know, and that's you may brought up a point of how much do we ask for help, how much do we receive, and how much do we communicate that. I am a parent of two children who have to do more caring for me than I am as a caregiver for them. You know, and yet I'm in rare disease groups that are mostly moms and dads that have children with a rare diseases, not the parent. So I'm in a little bit different situation than a lot of other in the rare disease community because I have two children and my background is very strange right now. And my husband. Somebody was messaging on my Facebook. This is my crown from this wheelchair.
Yeah, I feel the same way because since I was born with the ataxia and the onset isn't usually until the late 30s, early 40s, most of the people like in ataxia groups I follow on social media have kids that are quote unquote normal. So
You know, and
It's
no
just
one's too humble, by the
interesting
way.
to see how, and that I don't, I'm afraid of Pumpkin because I'm still unknown in my type. Because some of the types are hereditary, and I don't want to chance passing that on. And watching someone else I love struggle like I did.
And that's why you're an advocate, right? Because you want to help bring awareness to decrease the challenges. And sorry, as a nurse in the background, right now I'm having blood pressure issues, so we can't finish my infusion therapy right now. But we're trying to work on that. This is, again, par for the course with people with disabilities, especially in the rare disease community. Sometimes we just can't get it all working at the same time when we need to. And many of us do receive medical treatments at home. But you brought up something really important is how much help do we ask for? How much do we tell? And how do we interact with the communities around us? And for me, when you said, normally that it's not onset until older, in my case, I had a very traditional, active childhood. I mean, I hiked the Grand Canyon when I was 10 years
Me
old.
too.
And the Bryce Canyon, Zion Canyon, I grew up camping with all the different types of sports. My mom's a retired nurse. My dad's there's Leah's popping back in. And my dad's a retired teacher. So I grew up doing a lot of different activities. My first injury
Me
in seventh
too.
grade, doing the triple jump, I destroyed both of my knees at the same time with my Ehlers-Danlos, and from that day forward, I was on crutches. Then throughout high school, I was on crutches, multiple surgeries, and nobody knew what was wrong with me. Nobody, sorry, what was wrong with me. Nobody knew what was causing these challenges, but I had encountered quite a bit of bullying, and more importantly, which had impacted me in a much greater deal, the unintentional exclusion. Right, the unintentional exclusion that people sometimes do when they don't know what to say. So instead of asking, they ignore, which actually caused more psychological injury in my self-esteem per se.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My high school, there was a lot of two-face and fake friends, and that helped with the screwed me up in the head. So when I got in my mid-20s, I started figuring out, differing who's the actual friend and who's. I'm more cautious about making friends.
and that I understand, and that's where I was leading with some of my advocacy now, and part of why I'm doing part of the Miss Wheelchair competition, and why I'm representing California in this Miss Wheelchair USA competition, but also why I'm an advocate with the in the rare disease community and the MGFA Foundation with their advocacy committee and the Ehlers-Danlos ECHO program, because I want to raise awareness. I want doctors to know how to interact with the whole patient approach, understanding who we are as a whole person. But I also want people to not feel lesser than. For many, many years, I felt much lesser than my peers because of my physical challenges, because of the braces, because of my appearance, because of my slurred speech. And I say this all the time now. I know how bad my slurred speech is based on voice recognition. Ooh, then I can tell. If I'm looking at closed caption, I can tell really what I sound like. And it's this year past. So these past years with COVID, I say the COVID experience, I changed how I approach things. I really created a mindset program that is designed to empower people of all abilities, not to focusing on this goals or things that are set and designed by society, but rather what we're actually capable of doing. And I wrote, I guess it was maybe 2 years ago, I wrote an article for The Mighty, and I called it Flexible Goal Setting or something as that, but my dad being a former science teacher suggested dynamic goal setting. And
you're published. I'm also published.
So I've only done
back in my senior year of high school, so it wasn't that good.
Well, I wrote 2
and I'm working on another one, but I haven't got very far.
Well, this is
And
where
that
collaboration, by the way, is a great way to write. So in the fall, I wrote a collaborative book titled Absolute Will. I wrote one chapter of titled Why I'm Not President of the United States. And yes, everybody, that was my dream to run for president of the United States. That's where I was going. I didn't expect to win, but that was my dream, and that was my goal. But my story in that chapter was about the myasthenia gravis. What it was like waking up with the blurred vision, barely able to speak. My whole face had shut down. Looked like I had a stroke overnight. And this was 3 months before my wedding renewal ceremony, so I was also freaking out about pictures. Silly thing, but that was my biological brain's going, pictures. Oh no, pictures. But the reality was, I could barely speak, I could barely talk, and I could not move. And that was bad enough, right? But the impact on my family with that diagnosis, especially my children, was much harder and hit them much harder than I had expected. And it hit them really hard because of the fact that in their mind, their mom does all these community service programs, and like I just started a nonprofit. I like to say I'm a full-time, part-time volunteer in scouting and all these other groups that I try to work with. And here it was,
yes,
developing another disease. But I don't see this as punishment.
because it's not just you going through the disability, it's your whole family. And not having that support makes it even harder. And I have that support, which I'm thankful for.
I am very lucky.
Because I could not do it without family support. Because I will admit, and this is a sore subject for me to talk about, my senior year of high school, I did contemplate suicide because I had so many of the quote unquote friends talk about moving and going to this college and that college, and I was still trying to figure out my disability, and I still felt like an outcast, and I just didn't know what to do for myself. But I heard a song by an Oscar winning artist, and that artist helped shape my life around. Not only her, my choir teacher helped me figure out what I'm going to do. So I worried less about what people thought about me and more about the awareness raising and teaching people.
And I love that you said
I'm
that.
sorry, I talk with my hands a lot.
It's all good. I'm trying to message Tyrone at the same time, but it's all good. And there's something I wanted to mention, and this I know is a trigger for some people, but the mental health aspect of our diseases is real, and it's real because we have challenges. Sometimes we have good days. Sometimes we have really not so good days.
Yeah, but I have. It's about a mix on my good days and my bad days. So.
So 1 second. Tyrone couldn't get in, and it's because there's a limit on how many guests can be in the green room. And so he can't get back on here. We need to get him back on in a second. But I did wanted to say thank you again for that. And high school is hard. High school, colleges, everything is hard in general. It's a lot harder when we have disabilities, and
It
I
is,
had a
and
own limo for my senior prom, but it's it's okay now because it's okay now because I am one of those people now, and I'm using my voice to help raise awareness to the challenges that we all face. And I do know that we have 2 guests on here. Shelby and Robert are in the green room right now, and so I'm trying to see if they are planning on either talking or coming in to speak, because I'm a little bit confused right now, because this is for the speakers, so I'm just a bit confused because I don't see Tyrone. And
because in high school I was in show choir fun thing is, me and Leah went to high school together. She graduated a year before I did, but my choir, we did 2 trips to Disney World, and the quote unquote friends only want to be in my group to get to front the line.
Okay. Sorry, I'm also messaging to Tyrone right now, and okay, there he is.
It's alright.
There's Tyrone. I was trying to do things at one time, and I'm gonna pass it back to you a second, and Tyrone. I was just gonna say one thing. One, I really appreciate what you shared. I think it's really important to see both the. I know that Jessica shared a lot of information about what some of these agencies do. The Muscular Dystrophy Foundation Association actually does also cover like myasthenia gravis, right, and other neurological disorders. I'm also a volunteer with the Christopher and Dana Reese Foundation, and it works for anybody who has neurological challenges that impact ability to walk or spinal cord injuries. So all of these things are.
I forgot get the like what causes the ataxia. I forgot to get the
If you have your
definition.
inability to walk or challenging walking, then it will count. And I'd love to talk to you more about that. I just want to make sure Tyrone gets a chance to come back on here and share. And I want to make sure anybody who's
Yeah,
listening.
because it's his event.
So I'm going to pop him back on the screen here. And then, let's see. Tyrone, I got to move you back up here. Let's see. What's happened here? So I'm going to move Tyrone back up onto here. And let's move this around. Thank everybody for your patience. This is a news challenge since we had a great year tonight, but that's okay. Tyrone, you're back on the screen. I want to give you back a chance to speak. You might have heard us talking a little bit about our personal experiences coming of age with our different disabilities and how that led us into advocacy. And I'll tell you real quick before I pass that mic to you, I hadn't planned on being an advocate in the disability community. I became an advocate out of necessity, right? I became an advocate because of having to fight for medical care, having to fight for life-saving treatments, including my oxygen. Having to fight for so many things that should have been easy, but was not, and then realizing if I'm fighting very in a very challenging manner for many months or even years to get certain things that I needed, and I went to college for a political science degree, and I was 5 years away from a law degree, that I kind of know about advocacy work, and I had been advocating in the political arena since my early teen years, realizing if I'm having troubles, then I need to use my large mouth that I have to be able to help not only myself but other people. And that's how I really became the advocate. And then this past year, developing my voice on Clubhouse, working with rooms on a daily basis for people with disabilities, but changing that mindset of we can't do or this is over to grieving what we can't
It's
do
more
anymore.
about what we can do.
Exactly. Working about what we
I hate when people doubt what I can and can't do.
So I appreciate that, and I appreciate your share. And Tyrone, I want to hand the mic back to you that you came back on here again. So I am passing this mod baton bike over. I don't know why I'm saying mod baton mod, but yeah. Okay, this is a woman who's spending way too much time on Clubhouse because I keep on sounding like I'm talking to Clubhouse right now. But I'm passing the mic over to you, Tyrone.
Definitely, like I said, very good dialogue that's been going on. Like I said, it's all in the point of raising awareness. So those stories are always important to share. I would like to. I know my wife said she's been trying to get on. I don't know if she made it on or not. She said it said it was like it was trying to connect.
So you know what it is that there are a couple people in the green room that weren't speakers.
Okay.
Robert, are you able to go on to our Zoom to be able to listen in? This way our speaker can come on to here so she can be on the screen. So I can't see what's happening there. So let's see if she can get on now. Sorry.
Okay.
Hopefully you got into the Zoom there because two people popped in. Robert popped in that wasn't going to be, I guess, a speaker.
Let me tell her now. Try it now. She should be able to get on.
Because no one else is on the Zoom right now. So I think what accidentally happened was the link for our eCam got out into to people instead of the Zoom link. Okay, I see Robert again. Robert, can I give you the Robert? I am going to give you the link to our. I'm going to put it in the chat. This is going to be the link to the Zoom. This is where we need you guys to go so that we can have our guest speakers pop in here into the green room because this is green room designed for the guest speakers. And Tyrone, you can see too, I put the link to the Zoom meeting for anybody who wants to come onto screen. It's just they can't. We only have 5 people that can be on screen in the eCam.
And this partner. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Robert. So if you can hopefully try again. There she is, Leah. Yay. Robert, can you go to that other link? Because we can't get Tyrone back on then. Or Robert or Shelby, if one of you guys can go to that Zoom link that I popped in, that would be great because we can see Leah now, but we can't get everybody on to the eCam, which is what this personal link is. If you can see the little chat message on the bottom. For those that are listening, hold on 1 second. There we go. Alrighty. I was able to do that. Now let me go to the slide for Leah. Hold on. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate that. Hopefully. Okay. Robert keeps on coming in. And do you know, is Robert?
Yeah, I actually didn't get the Zoom link. I sent him a message after I didn't get the Zoom link.
Right. Well, he keeps on coming into the eCam one, which is blocking Leah. So, for those that are listening, thank you for watching and listening as we work through the technical challenges. And let me just bring up the scenes again. Okay, so I'm going to bring up you and Leah. And then I'm going to assign you here.
Okay. Yeah, hold on. She's in the middle of her Zoom.
What's the matter?
Can Angie speak to you?
Hold on 1 second, please. We're having a challenge over here, ladies and gentlemen, because we are having,
Hold on.
here we go there. And then, Leah, where's Leah? So Shelby, can you use that Zoom link that I posted in the chat? Because it's not allowing Leah to come in then.
Why did you say it was my lucky day?
Should I have Leah come in again now?
It was my lucky day.
I said that.
I don't know. Oh, okay.
I hear some hello.
What?
I thought I heard some laughing.
Okay, sorry. So 2 people, what happened was people came in to the eCam green room instead of the Zoom link. And the green room only allows for 5 guests. But I don't see Leah yet.
Yeah.
I see Robert has come in again.
Well, she said she advises it, but she's not
Okay.
If you can send me that Zoom link on Facebook,
I
on Messenger.
give him the Zoom link. I did do that. Let me just add him to the screen for a second here. Okay, so Robert, can you hear me?
I know.
Because I know you're in the green room.
I know. We're getting her the Zoom thing.
I think in the green, and he should be able to hear you.
Yeah, so Robert, I just put you on the screen for a second. I don't know if you wanted to ask us something or not, but the problem is that we need you to be in the green room in the Zoom link.
Okay,
That's
hi,
the Zoom link.
can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hop into the Zoom link? Because when we're on here, we can't have our other guest speaker on here, which is set up for Leah. But then I can bring you back in here in a minute after we speak with Leah.
Okay, do I need to join a meeting or start a meeting?
You just need to join the link. So I don't know if you see it in the chat. There's a little chat at the bottom of the green room. There's like a little speak bubble, and that has the link for the Zoom room that's already open. It's right underneath where you said, "Yes, I can hear you."
Yeah. Sorry, I'm having some connection problems.
So if you just
But
select that
yes.
link, I will let you into the Zoom room.
Okay.
And this
And
way, we want to make
sorry
sure
if I'm taking a little bit longer.
it's okay.
I'm not very technologically advanced. It says this personal link name is not valid. Please check and try
The
again.
last one is from my Zoom, which is actually open right now.
So it's everything from the HTTPS all the way down to the
Yes.
QT09.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just gonna try clicking on it and see if that'll.
Now I can type in the meeting number.
Okay, I think I'm in the Zoom.
Nope, you're not in the Zoom yet. So that's the meeting number. If you want to just do the number, and then the passcode is. Oh, I hear you popping in. Oh, I hear James came into our waiting room. Okay. I hear dingies, ding sounds, which means people are popping into the Zoom. Okay, so I just put the password in and the room thing in. This way you can pop into the Zoom for us, so that we have a space here for Leah. Hi, James. Welcome to the Zoom room. Appreciate you. Thank you for your patience as we get this fixed for everybody. And
Okay, everybody went quiet.
well, we were just trying to get this working so that Leah can get back up on screen. So, Tyrone, Leah should be able to do it now.
Okay.
Is anyone still here?
Yes,
I know she gets sleepy.
This is a little bit of delay, James and Robert, but we are still here, and we're just getting Leah on.
She's got other complications on top of that anyway.
While we wait for.
Oh, you hush.
In Sydney, we just lost Sydney too, but right now, where is your? Where's
Is
Leah?
everybody still there?
Hold on a second. I'm being asked a question. Yes, we are. We're just trying to get one more person up on stage, Leah. As soon as we get her up on stage, then we can have our joint conversation right afterwards. So I see you, James. See you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you very much. And let me just go back to the eCam. Has Leah gone on yet?
I told her to try now.
Because she should have no problem now because we have everybody moved over to the other Zoom.
Okay, I think she's on for now. She said, okay. I'm going to try. Okay, this one.
And while we wait on that,
she said she tried.
Okay.
She said she tried and nothing. Well, I don't know if she was doing the right link or what in the world going on.
So yeah, because there's space for her here on eCam, 2 spaces actually. So I'm not quite sure where she is.
I wonder if
she's on in Zoom and she's on the eCam. So I'm not quite sure where Leah is. So for those that are listening, thank you so much for your patience as we try to find our missing guest. and see exactly where she is. With that being said, we can go back and have our dialogue while we wait to see where she is. I do see you, James, and I appreciate you. I can see you in the Zoom. That is awesome. And with that, I'm going to minimize that screen for a second. James, I still don't see Leah. So while we are waiting, Tyrone, I meant to say, not James. Boy, names just are really a challenge for me today. I am going to bring up my other scene again, bring up myself and you on here for a second, and we can talk for a minute. Oh my goodness, it's like my Zoom's thing for voice recognition's like popping up all over the screen here. So for a second, let's put the screen on. Let's put you on the sign here to my left. Let's see. So I need to guess two here for a second. Okay, so where'd you just go, Tyrone? Where'd your camera go?
I think everybody's having some communication issues.
Yes, and we even practiced ahead of time. So I'm not quite sure. But while we wait for Tyrone to come back on, James, did you have any questions you wanted to ask?
Not really any questions. I was just kind of following along. I've been in 3 medical journals.
Okay.
I've literally had the rarest infection known to man.
Oh, wow.
And please don't ask me to tell you the name of it. I couldn't do that if I had to, if my life depended on it. But that was something where it was after my accident. I had taken, I'd had a couple of bed sores at the time, and it was, I think this was my 3rd or 4th one that I had. Sorry, I got to suffer, and my wife just got home from a basketball game with a couple of our friends, so I'm kind of scattered all over the place at the moment.
No worries.
But I ended up getting into a position where I was unable to move myself off my right side.
Oh, wow.
So I immediately got a pressure sore from my hip, and it got so bad that they actually ended up cutting out 3 inches from my femur, that the actual ball on my femur, and the actual socket from my hip joint.
Oh, wow.
And so whenever they cut those out, I ended up getting osteomyelitis, which is an infection of the bone. And that's when they found out through my blood work that I had contracted. It started with an M at the time. To be honest, I couldn't tell you they renamed it or even what it was at the time, but I was the 3rd person in the history of medicine that had ever had it.
Oh, wow.
Hold on just a second. What, babe?
I don't know who you're on the phone with, but I wanted to tell you Adam Rain. He was at the basketball game tonight. He told me to tell you hi and to get up with him.
Okay. But that was having my hip taken out. Apparently that was the most extensive wound. I don't really know what you would call it. It was the most expensive wound, or not the most expensive, but an extensive wound surgery that they had ever done. And so how they did it, as far as, how they decided to cut, where they decided to cut was part of it. But the situation that I'm in, most people that I've heard talk to on here isn't necessarily the same, because I wasn't born with this disability of me being in the wheelchair and and everything like that, and all the missteps or mishaps, and me having the rarest infection in the world. I've died 3 separate times, uh, all over 4 minutes, and at least 6 months apart from each other. And one of them was from the rarest infection in the world, which I was the third person to have it. The person before me, I think it was in Australia 45 years before I got it. And the one before that was in Germany 400 years.
Wow.
I think I'm getting that right. Or maybe close to 400 years or 350, something like that, as far as when the first person had it.
So it sounds like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my blood pressure taken right now because my blood pressure is a little high. So we have not been able to do my infusion therapy. So thank you for bearing with me as we figure this out. But my internet is, my phone's about to die. But I really appreciated you sharing your story.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I really hadn't planned on getting on here because I'm just not one of those type of people to try to boast about anything. But I heard you say earlier that, you yourself really had never thought about being an advocate for, special diseases or infectious diseases or anything of the sort. It came to you basically out of necessity for you having to beg for what you needed, like your oxygen. It came out of necessity for you having to fight for what you needed. And it was kind of the same way for me. I never really wanted to be in the spotlight or a leader or an advocate or anything like that. But just like yours, mine really came out of a necessity. And once my story was out there and they saw, how many things I've had to overcome, not just being in the wheelchair, but, everything apart from the wheelchair to what I am now.
Right.
And so it was one of them things where, like you, out of necessity, I kind of had to scream and fight and be an advocate for myself just to get what I needed to survive. And I guess after you're an advocate for yourself for so long,
right,
I would almost say it kind of doesn't leave you a choice as far as advocating for other people with disabilities or speech impediments or having one leg longer than the other and talking with, or walking with a limb or whatever the case may be.
Right. Well, and I appreciate you sharing that. And yes, I never planned for doing advocacy for the disability community, and I never even thought of it when I was doing all my diversity, equity, education programs. I kept on thinking of it along racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic lines, not about the challenges of accessing medical care. Although now, after speaking with people of all different ethnic backgrounds, geographical locations, internationally, and cultural challenges as well, or lack of cultural awareness by doctors and medical care professionals, has given me kind of that bridge between what I had planned for in a career in civil rights, legislation, and civil rights law, to the medical community, to increase that diversity and equity and access to care that so many of us don't usually get. And it wasn't intentional. Like you said, it came out of the necessity to function. And then part of it also came out of last fall when I wrote my chapter in that book. It's been a year of achievements for me, right? I got this little crown thing going on here, but I also ended up being nominated for a couple of WIGO categories for the WIGO Awards. And my husband's response was that I finally found my calling. bringing together both my speaking, my advocacy, and bringing together the knowledge that I have there, but also the representation for so many others. But instead of me talking so much, because I know Leah just was able to get onto at least the Zoom, I know you were having trouble getting onto the eCam before. So Leah, I wanted to turn that mic over to you and give you an opportunity to share. And I keep on going to view, and I keep on forgetting to go actually on Zoom because I'm sharing my screen, and I can sometimes forget which program I need to be selecting. So I'm going to spotlight you, Leah. There we go. And so Leah, I don't know, where were you going to go?
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Hey. Is everybody up here?
Yes, and Tyrone
'Cause
is
I can-
on. So
I
Tyrone
can
is
only
on
see my
eCam.
face.
Yeah, they're all here.
Yeah, I can see. On there. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, we can. So let me move Leah here. Not off the screen. I'm going to just resize this. We are just doing something new right now so that I can make sure I have you on here and see if I can change. Shh, Peter, quiet. That's my dog. He's being very loud.
Sound like my dog earlier.
So I can't make you any larger, I don't think, without blocking off Tyrone there. But can you guys speak back up? Can you speak now, Leah?
Can I what?
Yeah, I want to make sure we heard you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, like we finally got to Leah's part. So again, so far we've heard some good information. We heard a lot of good things about just breaking stereotypes and stigmas about rare diseases. So now I'm not going to talk too long. I'm going to continue to pass the baton, as Deborah said, and introduce my wife, also Vice President of Community Heroes, and also medical assistant and advocate and road racer and a whole bunch of other accolades she got on her belt. But I'm going to give you the mic, Leah, and let you speak. And Leah Starkey speaking.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
I don't really know who I'm talking exactly who's on and who I'm talking to.
I think right now it's just me and Tyrone and Lord, I done forgot the other girl's name. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing with this program we have, we're streaming on like multiple platforms. So like we're like Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, multiple platforms. So there could be multiple people watching, but remember, you're just giving information. So just think about being the academic skills. That's what you're doing right now. You're about to educate us. I can't hear nothing. Is she on mute? Hold on there. I can't hear nothing.
We hear her. It's Tyrone. I hear Leah perfectly clear. Sorry, I need to just go recline for a second to get my blood pressure taken because it's still too high. But we hear Tyrone, we hear you, and we hear Leah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You guys, Leah, please go ahead. We hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so I chose the topic scoliosis. I was diagnosed at the age of 12. First of all, I'm gonna tell y'all what it is. And a lot of people know what it is. It's I wouldn't say it's really rare. There are people that don't know what it is, but or don't know the details with it that come with it. But it's an abnormal lateral curvature of the spine. Lateral meaning to one side, so either your spine curves to the left or to the right. Typically, I mean, you could have like the S shaped or C shaped, different shapes, but most of the time it's either to the left or to the right. Mine is to the left. It occurs usually before puberty or early stages of puberty. Causes is really unknown, like most neuromuscular diseases. A lot of neuromuscular diseases is they really don't know the cause. Family history could be a factor. Birth defects that could have contributed to, like you say, you had a birth defect to the spine, that could be a contributor to it. It's mostly seen in females more than males. Males do get it. I actually have a male cousin who has it. I don't think his is nearly as severe as mine is, but I think I know I do have one male cousin that has it. Symptoms vary from person to person and can be mild to severe. And severe scoliosis, as with my case, can be very painful and disabling, actually, could be. A lot of symptoms: uneven shoulders, one shoulder blade that appears more prominent than the other, uneven waist, one hip higher than the other, one side of the rib cage jutting forward, a prominence on one side of the back when bending forward. Like if I bend over, you'll see a swelling protruding on my left side of my back. But just looking at me, like straight on, or you can't see it. Like you wouldn't be able to know it, without me actually showing you. And actually could be, so it's kind of not really noticeable. Uneven shoulders, one shoulder blade. Treatment options: it's not curable. Some people have had success with back braces. So it's kind of not some really noticeable. Cases require surgical intervention. You can take muscle relaxers, pain meds, physical therapy, use different stretches. I recommend if you're going to use any kind of stretching to help relieve inflammation and tension and swelling or whatever. I would look for specific stretches specific to people with scoliosis, or ask your doctor for a handout so that you don't do anything to damage your spine further. Some say cold and / heat therapy help reduce pain and inflammation. I use a heating pad almost every night. Tyrone bought me a new one, for a really nice one for Christmas, actually, because I use it so much. But some nights I don't use it, but most nights I do. And that kind of helps me kind of relax the muscles and go to sleep. You can try supplements such as turmeric to help reduce inflammation. I think there's studies on ginger and garlic and different things that help with inflammation.
Found turmeric to be a great help to me as well.
Apple cider vinegar, I think. The resources that I used for that information was, I would say, myself. I did go on Mayo Clinic, but myself, because I've been diagnosed with this for a long time, and I know a whole lot about it. I've done a whole lot of research on it. I've been in the medical field. I've studied it in school. I've seen it in other patients, so I didn't really have to do a whole lot of research.
If you don't mind me asking, Leah, how old are you?
30.
30? So you were diagnosed at 12?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you brought up the fact that you would have to actually show somebody the curvature of your spine. Because I was talking to, Lord, I still can't remember the lady's name. I'm so sorry. But when I was talking to her, I had my right hip cut out due to osteomyelitis and a bed sore. And so when I sit in my chair, it looks like my spine is curved from the bottom to the top, like it goes to the right and then comes back up straight. And that's, I've got bars in my back going from the bottom of, or the top of L1 all the way up to the bottom of C6.
Mhm.
When you look at me, you automatically would assume that I have scoliosis or multiple sclerosis or something like that because of the way my back looks when I'm sitting in my chair. So I'm glad you brought up the fact that with yours, even as extensive as it is, you still have to point it out and show people it's not something that they can just walk past you and, you know, automatically see that you have multiple sclerosis.
I have scoliosis, but
Oh, I'm
um,
sorry.
um, yeah, yeah. And now sometimes the way I walk, I kind of lean a little bit to the left, or you might can see the swelling on that one side sometimes. But even then, you would have to really kind of look, whatever. But I wanted to. I also had my kind of like my personal story. I know I've said a little bit about it, but I didn't really go into much detail. The first part, I was just basically just giving a generic just breakdown of what it is and causes and symptoms and stuff. But so how it all came about was one afternoon. Like I said, I was about 12 years old. I noticed that one side of my body was different than the other. I can't remember if I was going into the shower or getting out of the shower or what I was doing, but I was standing in the mirror and I was at home and we were living in a double wide trailer out in Pikeville area at the time. Sorry. And I was just like, one side is different from the other. Like my left side was completely straight, no curve, and my right side had like a kind of normal like curve to it. And I was like, this is weird. They're not growing the same. So I actually noticed that myself. And I spoke to my mom about it, and she was immediately, concerned, like, yeah, that's not right. Something's not right here. She got on the phone with my granny at the time. She's deceased now, but which is her mom, and she told my mother that it sounded like she had scoliosis. That's what my grandmother said to my mother on the phone. Because she was diagnosed with it. I think she had a mild case of it, but she was diagnosed with it. My mom was very concerned, and so she made an appointment with Goldsboro Pediatrics. I was still a minor at the time, and they had me do different things in the clinic, like bend over and stuff, but they really didn't have to do a whole lot. As soon as I bend over, they automatically knew what I had. And just looking at me, they automatically referred me to Goldsboro Orthopedics, which is now Wayne UNC Orthopedics, but pretty much same place. And at the time, Dr. Rockwell was the doctor, and him and his staff examined me. They took X-rays, and as soon as he saw the X-rays, he immediately referred me to Dr. Reed, which is in Greenville at the Scoliosis and Spinal Center. Met with him. Me and my mom, took me up there in Greenville, and he reviewed Dr. Rockwell's notes and images. And then I think he did his own X-rays, some updated X-rays in my spine. But I think some time had passed between Dr. Rockwell here in Goldsboro and seeing him in Greenville. And he pretty much just looked at both of us and said, she's going to have surgery. Bypass the braces, bypass everything. She's going to have surgery. I think I had like a 40+ degree curve. I really don't remember the exact numbers. That's 17 years ago. But
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You said Dr. Reed in Greenville, North Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who did my spinal surgery and put the bars in my back.
That's the one who did my spinal surgery. He immediately told me I needed surgery. We decided to proceed with the surgery in June of 2005. I was 13 years old. I was in a hospital for a week, but he wasn't really satisfied because I wouldn't eat during that week very much. So he made me stay an extra couple of days and kind of fussed him out for it. And then the next day when he told me I could go home, I offered him a candy bar. But I was out on recovery for 6 to 8 weeks that whole summer, and then I had to begin the 8th grade wearing a hard plastic brace, which the kids picked on me about, of course. I wasn't very happy. I was already like, going to school with this new thing, and it's already, starting school, the beginning of the school year. I was already feeling kind of weird, and then, obviously they're going to pick on you because you leave the school to go out for the summer, and they think that you're normal, and then you come back and everybody's like, whoa, what's wrong with you? Like, what happened to you over the summertime, And at the time, as a kid, you don't think about that. You don't think about that until you get older and you look back and you're like, at the time you think they're just cruel and mean kids, but you really got to look at how they're looking at it. Like, she was normal, and then she comes back with this. So that was kind of a hard thing to adjust. Definitely kind of a hard thing to adjust, and it was kind of a challenge. I had to have 2 sets of books, one for home, one for school. I had to have a top locker, and I couldn't play any sports. I couldn't participate in PE. So mind you, I've been doing all of these things from kindergarten all the way up to 7th grade. And now all of a sudden, I can't do none of this. I can't pick up more than 10 pounds. I can't do a whole lot of, I had to keep the brace on while I was up and active because they didn't want me to do a whole lot of bending and twisting and stuff like that. And so that was a little bit of a struggle. When I went to so the doctor has set all these rules in place. And when I went to my post-op appointment, I saw the disappointment in his face. He basically told me and my mother that surgery did not take as well as he hoped for. At that time, he said in the last 12 years of doing surgeries, I was the second case that this happened to. It was a hard pill to swallow, only 13 years old, after everything I went through. He recommended another surgery with longer rods in place, but said it was up to me and my mother. Said that was up to us if I chose to do it. And we chose not to. And then after I turned 18 and I could make my own decision, I pretty much chose not to. I never had the second surgery. I still suffer with chronic back pain and now even hip pain and other nerve pain from it, as it's kind of progressed some. But I've tried chiropractic care, physical therapy, medication therapy with minimal relief. I'm still using a heating pad most nights to help me sleep, take ibuprofen, stuff like that for pain. But on the bright side of all of that, I still am able to work, I have a family, and have a son I pushed home as a 9-pound baby, and no epidural because the doctors were nervous to mess with my spine with everything going on. They told us from day one, you ain't getting an epidural, you don't get it. So I've done a lot, accomplished a lot through all of it.
That's the mental thing. The pin again. No, that's my pin again.
And that's pretty much wrapped that up. Any questions?
Okay. Again, that was very informative, Leah. I want to thank you so much, but I also want to say, I just want to say how proud I am of Leah for speaking tonight. Those that don't know, she surprised me by saying she wanted to be a speaker. And I had to ask her like a couple of times. I'm like, you sure you want to speak on camera? Cause my wife is not a camera person, so I just wanted to make it known on this record that I am so proud of her for getting up here, getting on camera, speaking, and she did an excellent job.
She did, and it's not very easy
So,
for some. I'm like,
yeah.
Especially when you're
So,
talking about.
so I think if I don't know, Deborah, I know you said you wasn't finished. Well, you had like a second part. I know we had to take like an intervention with you. I didn't know if you want to finish off your last part.
So I did cover quite a lot between the different people talking with me. But I do want to say, Leah, first off, thank you so much for sharing today. And like you, I had, a lot of, I do wear braces. I do actually wear full plastic back brace, and had a lot of surgeries in high school that led to the development of CRPS, chronic regional pain syndrome. Okay, back dating myself, it was actually then called RSD, but it's now referred to as CRPS. For those that don't know, that is when the nerves turn around and take any sensation as pain, and it's not a very fun experience. But like you, coming of age when things seem normal and then all of a sudden we're not, it's very hard. But I do want to commend you for coming onto screen today and sharing your story and your journey. And it's very difficult for those that don't know. I know there's so many people that get on social media and are loving it and are just in front of those cameras left and right, TikToking it and Instagramming it and Instagram Reels and all those wonderful things. But like you, Leah, I am not comfortable yet. I'm trying to be. I'm working on it. But I am very self-conscious about sharing my story live in person, like when people can see me, versus when they can just hear my voice on Clubhouse, which is very different than getting in front of the camera, which is way harder for me because I like to take photos. I don't usually get in front of one. But I think it is so important that we do so, and so when Alanka connected Tyrone and not myself, I jumped at the opportunity for the collaboration because I think it's really important that people see our stories. I know, despite the technical challenges that we've had, it has been seen on LinkedIn. It's been seen on Facebook. It's been shared on Facebook, and so people do know that this is happening. These are real stories. These are real people going through challenges. And yes, I'm going through trying to get my infusion right now. My blood pressure's been a little bit high, so we're having a bit of a challenge. The joys of dysautonomic dysfunction: when 1 minute it's high, and the next minute you're passing out because it's too low. And those who know me well and know that has happened to me while moderating on stage, and even while guiding breathwork. So it's all over the place, and I'm trying to get this fixed so that I can finish part of my infusion today. Because tomorrow is the Advocacy Days on the Hill. So for those that don't know about that, it is when we meet with either legislative aides or the healthcare aides for the legislators or with the legislators themselves, advocating for legislation that can help enhance the quality of life for people with rare diseases. And whether that's from early diagnosis or whether that's from things such as the Orphan Drug Act, where FDA-approved medication is then researched and utilized for other rare diseases. I know a lot of my treatments come from treatments that were designed for muscular dystrophy or MS, or ALS, all of which help people with myasthenia gravis. Like many of the before, none of my diseases have cures, but they don't define me. They are part of who I am. I proudly announce them because that is who I am. But they don't control me. I still work the darndest amount of energy that I can, usually maybe too much, to still try to contribute to society in the most possible, I'll be laid down in a second, most effective way possible. My poor nurse, I have here, brand new nurse, and my blood pressure is really high, so this is making my infusion a little bit challenging for her. But the reality is that every one of us has a journey. Every one of us has challenges. Some of us might be dealt a lot more challenges than others. We like to say in my household, I'm a collector of rare diseases, but I am also a collector of an enormous amount of familial support from my family, and my family, as a lot of us call ourselves on our Clubhouse groups. And this is kind of funny because I'm curious to see how voice recognition is going to recognize it. It didn't recognize family. But the reality is, when you have a rare disease or you have any condition that makes life a little bit more challenging, connecting with others that have similar stories can be incredibly empowering, right? Even though our stories are different, and I see James nodding his head, right? I know our stories aren't quite the same, but there are similarities. Similarities of when those changes happened in our lives, how society reacted to us, how, you know, in my case, even in my graduate program, which was in higher education, focused on diversity recruitment and retention, first day I was told disabled people don't graduate, so don't bother starting. And at that point, I was transitioning from a manual to a power chair, and that was the treatment that I had. And I had this, and I did change the mind of the dean of that program. And when graduation came, my story was chosen to be the closing story of the commencement ceremonies. So it did make a difference. I did have to prove myself. Yeah, I can still get a little emotional when I talk about it. But in law school, I was told the same thing. 5 units away from that law degree before I had the organization making a compound overdose that pump significantly impacting me. And then sadly, I developed several other disorders and had 2 children and multiple surgeries. And it's now up to the school whether they wanted to give an exemption, a voluntary exemption, which they chose not to do so. But from day one, I was told I wouldn't graduate from there. And I'm mentioning these stories because we face obstacles and we have the choice, right? We can face it head on like I did, and I may not have that degree in my hand, but I did gain a great deal of knowledge of the legal system. I gained a lot of knowledge and experience in advocacy work. I did actually clerk for a EEOC judge as well as in the Attorney General's office in the state of Arizona and their civil rights department. So those skills transfer still. It may not be what I intended for my life, but I'm still making the best of it. And as I've been told before, making probably more of a difference now than I would have in the original life plan that I had. And I mention this because who's ever listening, you might be facing the same thing. You might be facing that journey where your life is not going the way you expected. And sometimes it's really hard when that is happening to see possibilities, to see the other opportunities that can be made from the lemon, making the lemonade from those lemons type of a thing. I mention it because it's taking me decades to see the silver lining of all my different conditions, and still grieving a little bit of the life that I thought I was supposed to have, but it's doing a lot better. It's, you know, and I know I'm making a difference. So it's just taken a little bit of time, and I do want to give out this message of hope because, you know, so many people that are facing these rare diseases without guidance, without support, or fighting for that diagnosis, because the diagnostic journey can be really, really long for a lot of people. The point being is that there's always hope, right? As long as we keep moving forward, there's always hope. You know, we can choose to stop and fall into that ditch, or we can choose to call out and keep on, you know, wheeling forward. And I might be going really slow at a snail's pace, but I'm still moving forward. And my final destination might be slightly different, but ultimately it's still to give back to the community in the best way possible. And so I appreciate this opportunity to share my rare disease journey, in spite of or alongside of these technical challenges that we've had today, as well as the medical challenges that I'm currently having. So I'm going to need to lie down in a few minutes so that I can hopefully get my infusion and get that blood pressure down. I'm going to have to do some of my meditation for myself. I need my own meditation to bring that blood pressure down so that I can get my infusion. But I do want to thank you, Tyrone. There were some technical challenges and hiccups. I appreciate the opportunity to collaborate together, for us to share our stories and our journeys, and to be seen and heard, right? Because so all of us up here, and including James in our Zoom meeting, has shared stories about these journeys and how it's impacted us, but how we're still taking those experiences and helping others along the way, so that we're kind of making that carbon footprint a little bit easier for those that are following in our footsteps. And so I thank you for collaborating for this, for your work with the Community Heroes program, for bringing us together, and for just putting this together for us so that we can be here and share our experiences during Rare Disease Day. So I thank you, Tyrone. And back to you.
Thank you so much, Deborah, Leah, Sydney, Jessica. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your patience. You know, my organization, Community Heroes, we just thank you guys so much. And, you know, I want to share this last thought because, first of all, I want to say I did share my story because I shared it last year. So for those who are interested in my story, it's on my official page. I want to say that, but I want to share this last thought. And then I just, what God just told me tonight, and you touched a little bit on it. But for those who don't know, we had some technical hiccups, and really mainly one of the main ones was mine. And I prepped and prepped and prepped, and thought I had all my I's dotted and my T's crossed in preparation for tonight. And whenever it was showtime, one critical part was missing. I put the wrong date for the late, and so we were scrambling around, and time was going by. We were running late, and and we were just trying to get things to work. We eventually got it to work, and we had people coming in to watch. And even I was telling my wife, I was like, I don't know, because there's been a lot going on behind the scenes. Of you put a lot into your craft. Sometimes you have hard moments, but the point of this story is that you know we had individuals come in, and I had to remind myself the reason that I even went into Community Heroes is not for numbers, it's for change. And whether it be I make a change in one person or 100 people, if I make a change in one person for the better, everything is worth it. Can you see what? No, you can't see no real hammer. Yeah, you have to wait out. I'm about to get out. Look, say hello to the people. Say hello to the people. But that's what I want to say. I just remember. I want to say for those who are listening, you may prep and you feel like you've done all you can do and seem like stuff still comes up wrong. But if you can just see one small change, it's still worth it. You know. So again, thank everyone for tuning in. Um, Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. If you want to donate to Community Heroes, if you like this webinar, please donate to us. We do 3 every year. We recognize National Disability Employment Awareness Month. We recognize National Mentoring Month, and of course, we do a recognition webinar for Rare Disease Day. So, they're all free, but it does cost money to put them on, with the platforms that we use. So, all donations are appreciated and they are tax deductible.
You can click on that nice little, hold on a second. Let me bring it on down. So, this QR code right here brings you to Community Heroes website.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yes, make it even easier for us. Thank God for technology.
So you can click on that. You can take your phone, hold it up to the computer, and you got your QR code there. Or you can save it to your device, and that will bring you to the Community Heroes site really simply, and then you can donate. And for that, we also, again, thank you so much for supporting us on our journey and listening and giving the feedback back to us. We appreciate that. And in the comment section, I would love to have a call to action. Besides not only giving a donation to the amazing Community Heroes program, but also to tell us something either you've learned or something that you've overcome with your challenges or
For
other
me
challenges that you have
personally, I would
witnessed.
like to say
We
thank
would love
you
to hear that.
to Tyrone and Debbie for putting this together and just having a place where people with disabilities or whatever the case may be can actually come together and talk about these situations. And if some people just want to join in and listen and not share their story, that's okay. But I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think getting together once a month and doing something like this would raise a lot more awareness. We've got 3 participants this time, but I know a couple of friends that aren't on here with disabilities or that are in wheelchairs that I'm sure would love to hear some other people's stories and ask questions if they have something similar. And stuff like that, it's a lot easier to find people that have been in the situation you're in and gotten out of it, or people that are coming into a situation that, if they're in a car accident and they just found out 2 weeks ago that they're not going to be able to walk again. And just having somebody there that knows what they're going through is a great accomplishment in itself. And it's hard for day-to-day life for you to come across people like Tyrone or Leah and have these people tell their stories when it's such an uplifting experience. So I definitely want to say thank you to Leah and Deborah, was it?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I got it right at least once. I'm horrible with names.
It's all good.
I just wanted to
And
thank
I
you.
think this is being recorded. And I said a couple. I think it's being recorded. So, Robert, I know you didn't get a chance to hear Sydney or Jessica, but
It is on the YouTube channel, my baby YouTube channel, my really
Uh-huh.
baby YouTube channel. It's
Is this something y'all would be open to trying like once a month on a certain date?
sure, we can talk about
And
that.
just seeing if more people join in, or
Well, I would like to try it again without the technical difficulties.
Right, and that was one of the what happened, Leah, too. So we can close this out. I'm going to close off the external recording. But I will say, and then we can finish this. But I will say too, to you, James, I have also been hosting quite a few rooms in Clubhouse and on Fireside and Wisdom as well for empowering people with disabilities. And I'm going to close out this part of Tyrone. If you were ready for us to close out on the live, then we continue talking about some ideas of what we can do for the future.
Yeah, we can close. Like my wife is not home, and I know she's probably ready to come home. So, yeah, we can go ahead and close out the recording part.
And just let me just bring this up because I closed out everything before, so I just want to go back to where it was. Okay. So we just wanted
I've been losing sleep. What to do? Could somebody come